Hi everybody, this is Rabbi Czapnik from the Jewish Learning Exchange in Los Angeles. I hope you and yours are well. Bittersweet week. Thank God many hostages were freed, but many are still captive, and unfortunately some terrorists had to be released as well. Our hearts and minds and prayers are for the Jewish people around the world, for the soldiers in Gaza, and may the prisoners and those wounded and injured be healed well soon. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Vayishlach, and in it has the confrontation between Yaakov and Esav. And part of the parsha has in it a story about Esav's angel attacking Yaakov. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first I'd like to read a small part of a famous article written by Mark Twain. It was in Concerning the Jews in Harper's Magazine, 1899. And he begins saying, if the statistics are right, the Jews constitute but 1% of the human race. It's just a nebulous, dim puff of stardust in the blaze of the Milky Way. Properly, the Jews ought hardly to be heard of, but he is heard of and has always been heard of. The Egyptian, the Babylonian, the Persian rose, filled the planet and with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greek and the Roman followed and made a vast noise, and they're gone. Other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now or have vanished. The Jews saw them all, beat them all, and now is what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? So we're going to try to answer that question today. Because the angel of Esav fights with Yaakov, and he can't defeat him. And he even tells Yaakov, your name won't always be Yaakov, your name will be Yisrael, Israel. And that's where we are the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, and Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, all related to Yaakov. But what the angel does do is he hits Yaakov in the leg. And from here we get a prohibition of eating the gid hanoshet. That's a sinew in the leg of a kosher animal that the butchers have to take out before. And the Sefer HaChinuch, the book of mitzvahs, explains what's the relevance of this mitzvah for us. What does it teach us? And one of the things he explains is to let us know that the enemies of the Jewish people will not be successful. We may get injured, we may get killed, but the Jewish people will live on. And that they can bang us and injure us, but we will prevail. And why is that? And that secret is the Torah itself, the study and living the Torah. Very interesting. There was a woman whose husband was a soldier in Gaza and was injured. And some religious people came to help and help them in the hospital. And the woman said, I was very far from God, but when my husband was in battle, I talked to God and prayed to him day and night. And I realized, why are they always trying to kill us? And I realized, because we have something special, and it's time for me to get closer to God. And she made a commitment to do that. The Torah is something that is essential to Jewish life. And as the Zohar, the mystic, teaches us, Yisrael v'Oraisa kudsha b'richu chadu. The Jewish people, the Torah, and God are one. Just as God is eternal, so is the Torah and so is the Jewish people. And not coincidentally, we teach our children at a young age the words Torah tzivu lanu Moshe marasha kilas Yaakov. Torah was commanded to us by Jacob, and it is an inheritance for the congregation of Jacob. Little children make arts and crafts about the portion of the week. And young boys and girls at a very young age are starting to learn not only how to read Hebrew, but how to translate it, and the laws and customs that we have, and learn a lot of information. Because Torah is essential to our survival. And that's what the lesson of the parsha is about. To teach us, many people can look at what is the reason for the war? Well, was it because of this and the geopolitical issues and this failure and that? The bottom line is that we need to know that the Gemara at the Talmud Tales teaches us something very powerful. The word Sinai, the Mount Sinai, Sinai is similar sounding to the word Sinah, hatred. Because God chose us and gave us His Torah, we are hated. Many books and theories have been written about anti-Semitism, but we have the Torah, and people are jealous that we have the moral code that God gave us. And therefore we have to just hold on to that moral code and learn the Torah and live the Torah to be able to be part of the continuum of Jewish history. I'll conclude with a very powerful story about a non-religious journalist who traveled to England to a town called Wall's End. It's a tourist attraction, and that's where Hadrian built a wall to keep the Scots out of England. And all that was left is just a little wall, and the wall ended there, and there's a pile of rocks and moss on it. And he ended up stopping off at a yeshiva, a place of Torah study. And he heard them studying about the great Rabbi Akiva. And he couldn't believe it, because Rabbi Akiva had been tortured by Hadrian for breaking the rules and studying Torah. And where is Hadrian? A broken wall with moss on it. And Rabbi Akiva is alive 2,000 years later. People are still studying about him. May we be inspired to learn more and to focus on living Jewish life, because that is our lifeline for eternity. May we have a wonderful Shabbos, and may our prayers be answered, and the merit of our Torah learning should protect the Jews wherever they are. All the best. Good Shabbos.